welcome back to another installment of El Paisano News' Meet the Staff. My name is Eric Munoz, your broadcast news director, and this is...
I'm Luis Gutierrez, the arts and entertainment editor for print.
And we are here today to introduce you to another staff member that works on our wonderful newspaper here at Rio Hondo College. Now, the last question I asked on the show was, what high school did you go to? And I think that's a very fitting question right when we lead into college.
Oh, okay. Well, majority of the kids here grew up in Whittier, but I decided to be the little rebel. I grew up in the hard streets of Downey.
Tough.
I went to Downey High School. It's like I think a 4% chance of people dropping out. It's very high statistics. So I was one of the few that made it out.
How'd you scrape by?
Got it out of the hood, and I'm trying to make something for myself now, you know?
Well, I'm glad you came to the right place. You know,
yeah.
You're at Rio Hondo College, and you seem to be putting in lots of work, not for a gang, but for our own special little gang.
See, like if you look like deep in the arts and entertainment section, like if you look at the lines going down, it says represent D-Town.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I'm still representing Downey.
Okay.
It's like little hints.
You can take the gangbanging out the you can take the hood out the gangbanger, but you can't take,
exactly.
I don't know. I messed that up, but that's definitely funny. So, what made you decide to go into journalism?
Well, originally I was a nursing major.
Oh wow.
And I grew up my whole life thinking I wanted to be a doctor. Like every kid, I grew up watching Scrubs, and you know I was like, oh, this looks like fun. But then I had like a big life-changing event, and I was like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? I had a real identity crisis.
Right.
And so one day I was playing one of my favorite games, and I finished playing that game, and I was like, this was my thought process. I was like, I like video games. I like talking about video games and movies and entertainment stuff. What's a career I could do with a living for this? And I was like, oh, I could be a journalist. And so that was my thought process.
Yeah.
And so then a month later, I went to my counselor. I was like, hey, I want to be a journalist. And she was like, you want to be a journalist? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm already writing for an outlet. And
what outlet is that?
It's called Nerdbot.
Okay.
It's self-explanatory what they're writing about. And so I was like, all right, let me take the broadcasting class. And I was just kind of trying to get my feet wet.
Okay.
And that's when I met Professor Wendy Carrera.
Yeah.
And so she was going around telling everyone, she's like, oh, everyone give a little short story about yourself. And I gave my story. And then, long story short, she ends up kind of like just calling me out in front of the whole class. She was like, you know what, you already write for an outlet. Well, come you not writing for the paper? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, well, you better write for the paper right now. And it's like, you know, essentially she just like said, you're mine, that's it. And I couldn't back down in front of the whole class because like I got my I'm representing Downey.
Oh yeah,
like,
D-Town.
Yeah, exactly. I can't let Downey down, you know. And so I ended up joining that, and then she's telling me, she's like, oh, you should join print next semester and join magazine, and then it just caused this whole spiral effect. Now, long story short, I'm an editor. I don't know how really that came to be.
You know what I think? Speaking from an editor's point of view, it's honestly you get recruited to do this work, and once you're exemplary at that work, it's all of a sudden your responsibility to teach others and also police. Like, this is a student-run paper, so the students who run it need to be top-notch.
It's a lot like the Illuminati. Like, we only accept the best.
Yeah.
And so like when we recruit them, we're like, hey, come over here really quick. Come sit on the cool side of the newsroom. Not saying that side's not cool, but this side's cool.
This is the film side. We get the award here.
Yeah, if you look at the background, like all the other videos, I'm usually like right there.
That's because this side is our editor's table. And so tell me a little bit about your experiences as an editor.
It's a lot of work. Like, going into it, I knew that I was going to be sinking hours. And so it was one of those things where it's like you really have to balance your schedule. Like, I find myself a little bit more and more into a habit that I need a break, where I'm late for my next class just because I'm working on layouts, or I'm going through like the finer details. And I guess that falls on my half of just like not being on time for certain stuff.
Right.
But it's a lot more work than I anticipated. But I like I said, at the same time going into it, I knew it was gonna be a lot of work. But it's one of those things. It's like it's a love-hate relationship with being an editor. It's like you love it just because you get the experience, you get the title, and you get all the perks of being an editor.
What perks are those? Please inform me on the editor's perks.
So the perks of those, it's every Monday you got to wake up an hour earlier to get to class.
Oh, but you see, that's an editor's meeting that I don't show up for because that's the paper, and we do broadcasts over here.
Yeah. So the perk is it's like you get to go to state.
That's true.
You get you get the potential to win awards.
Now, what is state for the people who don't know?
Well, myself, I haven't competed in state or anything yet, but as far as I know, it's you go and compete with all the other journalists for neighboring community colleges and schools, and you just it's essentially who's the best one around.
I went to state.
I was aware of that, and I know you won, right?
I did win, and I had a very good time.
Okay, let me just give you a pat on the back.
Oh, I need one. I'll give one myself too.
Okay.
And I hope you do get a chance to go to because it's definitely an experience.
Yeah, from what I've been told, it's a rush, and it's one of those things where it's like, oh my God, right? I'm here. Now I have to do good.
Yeah, for sure. And then not only that, you really represent Rio, so the spotlight is on you completely. So another kind of cliche question that I want to make sure gets asked.
Okay.
What was your favorite story that you covered?
My favorite story. Well, my favorite serious one, and it's kind of it was unfortunate that it happened, but it was the San Bernardino shooting. So
Right.
when that had happened, I was actually in here with you. I was just hanging out. I really had nothing to do that day. Everyone was talking. We had last year's staff were like, someone should go cover that, and I was like, screw it, I'm down. I got nothing to do today. And everyone just kind of looked at me like, what the hell? Are you serious? I'm like, yeah. I'll take a drive out there, and just going out there, I felt like a little fish in a big pond, just because the minute I roll up, I see cops, and they're like, who the hell are you? Cussing me out, saying you shouldn't be here. I'm like, nah, I'm press. Like, let me in. And so they let me in, and as soon as I roll up, the first thing I see is like ABC, CNN, like all these big name news outlets you see. And then one thing that stood out to me is that I had this reporter. She was for USC. She comes up to me and starts asking me all these questions. I'm like, then it hits me. I'm like, oh crap, I'm a journalist. That's right then and there when it hit me, when I was doing like what I would consider like groundbreaking news. Well, that is groundbreaking news, what I'm talking about. And one of the things too is I was it's funny because like when something like that happens, everyone swarms as soon as you're getting an interview, and I was interviewing a little girl, and then another thing too, it hit me. I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely am a journalist. It was just the little things. It was one of the reporters was like, yeah, my fellow colleague was talking about so and so and this, and I was like, oh, that was me. I'm not gonna say that on camera, but I was like, okay, it felt nice.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool just to like experience all of that. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like the shots I was getting, like I was standing on top of a chair holding a tripod with both hands. Like, oh crap, I gotta get this shot, and I gotta make sure like, just it was all the little fine detail I did. And then another one of my favorite stories is actually the one that just passed, was when I went to LA Comic Con and I got my first press pass. Because I remember telling myself when I went to the first Comic Con I went to was about like 2 years ago. I was like, one of these days I want to get a press pass, and that's when I thought I was gonna be like a famous YouTube gamer, like every Downey kid thinks he's gonna be. And so then when I finally got it, I was like, okay, I did this. Like that was a big landmark, and I was just getting in there as press, and it was a big milestone for me.
So my final question I ask you is more of a personal one for me. How on earth do you hold on to that press pass, man? Because if it's not around your neck, I can't help but lose those things almost every time.
So what I do is I usually put it on the dash of my car, and it's hanging there, so that way I can't lose it. Like if I lose my car, I lose my pass. Or if I don't do that, I just throw it in my backpack and I forget it's there for about like another 3 weeks until I'm just digging
until you
through.
need it.
Yeah, until like I have
man, I remember I had it.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's there, and then that's how I keep a hold of it.
Okay, man. Well, I really appreciate you talking to me, and thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Tune in next time when we go ahead and film another segment of Meet the Staff. My name is Eric Munoz.
And I'm Luis Gutierrez.
Tune in next week. Cut. You can look at whatever. I'm so sweaty. Okay, listen. So we ran out of memory on our main camera. We have 2 backup cameras that do our faces. If you're wondering why the majority of the rest of the movie or video is our 2 faces talking to each other, that's the reason. I promise it's not gonna happen next week, so go ahead and tune in next time and enjoy this one. This has been another episode of Meet the Staff. My name's Eric Munoz.
I'm Luis Gutierrez.
I'll see you next time.